right. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, I am very passionate about this topic. And actually, we're going to be talking about why work-life balance does not work at all. So, Kai, saying you need some, really, that's, we all need some, and that's because it's not a real thing that we should be striving for, I think personally. So, I really appreciate being able to talk about this. Obviously, I started my own business in part because of this fallacy of work-life balance. Those are my two little kiddos around the age that I started this business. They're now 16 and 19, but let's not talk about that. They're definitely not as cute as they were then. So let's just talk real quick about work-life balance. I know a lot of us strove for that and we wanted to really achieve and have our cake and eat it too. I think these days, maybe some people are starting to realize that trying to balance work and life separately maybe doesn't work for everybody. And I swear I get a email at least once a month. I just got one about an hour ago from somebody, a woman in business who is going to take some time off because she does not feel like she can achieve work-life balance. So women are moving out of the workforce. It's really becoming a little bit of an epidemic because we feel like we can't have everything. So I want to introduce a new idea here, which is work-life integration, not balance. And here's the difference. When you say work-life balance, that's like saying, I'm going to move in with my partner or roommate or whoever, and I'm going to tell them, you can bring one spoon, and then I'm going to bring one spoon, and then you can bring one spoon, and we're going to have exactly the same number of your spoons and my spoons. Nobody does that. That's dumb. It makes no sense. If you're like me, you just looked at your husband's spoons and went, those suck. Let's just use mine, okay? And we balance. We take what's best from both worlds. Sometimes you need a certain type of spoon. Sometimes you need a certain type of fork, but you integrate the two together. And that's what I'm sort of suggesting we do with work and life. So starting this business, that was one of my big goals. And I want to just kind of give you 3 tips for work-life integration. These are 100% not like, wild ideas that you can't implement or that have probably, never been said before, but I'll give you some examples. So my 3 tips are: be honest and real, integrate your calendar, and get personal. So let's just talk real quick about be honest and real, especially when hiring. I really struggled when I started to write job descriptions. I just felt like the dry job description was like not at all what I wanted to put out there. So I just got really honest about what I was looking for and what I thought that my company could offer versus companies that are much bigger. And I just threw out that I'm really offering this work-life integration. And I was super honest about why I started the company. And it really, I feel like it helped me attract great talent. I also try to be really honest when I'm taking accountability for things. This is me making an error when I got a company laptop from a company I was helping and totally forgot to plug it into my internet and couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And then I had a client, when I was honest about that, tell me that she had also accidentally had 3 dirty martinis last night. So, sometimes when you're just honest with people, they'll be honest back with you, and then you can both be a little more authentic. So that's what being honest is. Integrating your calendar is probably my #1 tip for anyone, because when I first started in business, people tell you, especially women, they would say, don't put anything personal on your calendar. Just mark yourself as busy, and then, don't show other people what you're doing. Has anybody heard that advice? Okay, that was like the worst advice that anyone ever gave me, because I ended up taking my kids to the wrong events. I showed up at the wrong day at school. It was just like a debacle. So when I started my own business, I said, okay, I can color code. Thank you, Google Calendar. And I can just put everything on one calendar. So, you can see it's a little busy. I've got swim practices and I got soccer practices and I got work stuff all together. And you know what? Everybody in my company can see it. And I'm totally fine with that. And I encourage them to do the same, because you know what? that's the precedent I'm trying to set here. And I still show up for things late, but whatever, that's a different story. And then really getting personal. If you have ever emailed me while I've been out, you have probably been the receiver of one of my notorious out of offices. I never write out of office. I always say kind of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and try to make it a little fun. And, I get really great responses from people back. The bottom is just a response I got from a client. And my favorite line is the last one. No rush to get back to me. We have tons of time. When does a client ever tell you that? Like never. So I was pretty excited about that. And then just really being personal. I'm not a huge proponent of throwing everything personal onto LinkedIn, but I do like to think about how I do things in my personal life that may impact my business. This is me when I decided to take a bet from my daughter who said I could never be a ref. And actually, being a ref was pretty terrible, but it did teach me a lot about why I did certain things in my business a little bit differently, maybe. And so I ended up writing a nice little LinkedIn piece about just, what that taught me and how I'm going to use it in my business. So sharing those types of revelations, I think, is something that can make you feel authentic. And I really feel like as we are moving into this AI age, this whole idea of authenticity and bringing yourself to the conversation is going to become more and more important because people are going to want that personal touch. I think they're going to see what AI provides and want to know that they are, in fact, connecting with another human who has a lot of the same challenges and hopes and dreams that they do. So that is my 3 tips on being authentic. Oops. And I have given you some thought starters for our breakout groups today.